Hello, welcome to Bits of Java. Let's go a little deeper into inheritance. So I've got this sentence class here. Its whole goal is to store a single sentence. So the constructor takes some text and then it figures out where the first location of a period is. And if there actually is a period there, then I'm going to set this text variable to the string from the very beginning up until the first period. So if someone types like 3 sentences or a whole paragraph, it's only going to do the first sentence. And if it can't find a period, then it's going to assume that it's just a single fragment or a single sentence or whatever, so it'll just go ahead and set the text there. And very basic, it'll get the text, it'll just return the text variable. So if I've got my main method here, I've created a new sentence. I said this is a sentence, this is another sentence, and when I print out sentence, I get text. If all works, then it should just print out the first sentence right there. So let me go ahead and Alt tab over to here. Compile. So there it is. This is a sentence. Okay. Well, this sentence is nice. Okay, but what if I wanted to make it fancier? Like I want to have a particular character before and after the sentence to stylize it. Well, I could edit the sentence here, but I don't want every sentence to be fancy. Maybe I want some sentences to be fancy. So I want to take all the features of sentence and then just add a little more functionality to the fancy sentence. So this is where we're going to extend sentence. So fancy sentence will get all the variables and methods that sentence has, and I can just add more to it. Now, right now it's not compiling because the constructor sentence here, the constructor in fancy sentence, doesn't match the number of parameters that there are in sentence. It says it requires a single string, and here it found no arguments. Okay, well, first that's a little weird because I don't have a constructor there, but we'll see that in a sec. But notice here, my constructor has a single argument, takes a single string text. Well, when you don't actually write a constructor, Java gives you one for free. So the Java default constructor looks like this. It'll be public fancy sentence. So I'll have no parameters, and I'll have one particular line of code in it. So by default, if you don't make a constructor, you get this one with this free line of code, super. Now what super does, super calls the constructor of the superclass, of the class above it, the sentence. Problem is, there is no constructor in sentence that has no parameters. There's only one that has one parameter. So until I provide my own constructor here, it's going to give me an error. So I'm going to comment this out. Let's see here, function f8. So I'm going to make a constructor, public fancy sentence. And I need to know what kind of text to have there, but I also want to know like what kind of stylization I want around it. So I want to have the stylizer. So what I'm going to put in front of and behind the text to make it look fancy. So here's the thing. Sentence already had this great functionality here of extracting just the first sentence out of some text. I don't want to recreate that functionality here. So what I'll do is, well, this text, I'll just send that upstairs to the superclass. And when I say upstairs, I mean it this way. Notice that there is an arrow pointing up from fancy sentence to sentence because fancy sentence now is a type of sentence. There's what's called an is a relationship. Fancy sentence is a sentence. It's a type of sentence. It's just fancy. So what I'll do is I'll send this text up to the superclass's constructor, and that'll handle it. So here, the superclass sentence will handle, trimming the text down to a single sentence, and storing it. Okay, so what about a stylizer? Well, I guess I need an instance variable for that, so I'm going to have private string stylizer. I'll do this dot stylizer equals stylizer. Okay, so great. I could go ahead and let me go back to my main method here. I can actually make this a fancy sentence. And I've got my little flirt-on over here. That will be my stylizer I want before and after the sentence. If I run this, it still works. It still has the functionality, but it never did the stylizer because the get text doesn't know what to do with this. And that's a problem because this sentence class, get text, it has no idea that there's something that needs to go before or after it. So fancy sentence needs to change how the sentence normally gets the text. So to do that, we'll override a method, public string get text. I like some of what get text does, but I want to do some of it differently. Now here I want to return the stylizer, and then I want to have the sentence. Then I want to have the sentence, and then I want to have one more stylizer. So I want to have it before and after, and I want to have the sentence in between. So how do I get the sentence in between here? Well, I liked what the get text did here, just give me the text. So I want to ask the superclass sentence to give me the text. But if I just call get text here, that's the same method as this, the same name as this one. So we're going to get recursion, which is a problem. We don't want recursion here. I want to use the superclass's sentence. So the way I do it, I'll call super.getText. So when you have super.methodName, this calls the superclass's version of the method. So I liked what the superclass did with just give me the text, but I want to add more to it. So if I run this now, compile and run, there it is. Now I've got my fancy fleuron on either side of the sentence. So quick recap, the idea behind inheritance, it gets access to all of the methods and instance variables of its superclass. So fancy sentence actually has access to this, the text variable here. Well, it has it doesn't have access to it, but it has this text variable, and it has this getText method. But I wanted to add more to it, so I could override or change how certain things are implemented. But if I like aspects of it, I can still access those superclass versions by using the super keyword. And I can access the superclass versions of the constructor, again, by using the super keyword in the constructor. So that's a basic overview of some of the functionality of inheritance.